Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivanB. And now, on with the show. Welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam, Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect, Quiver, and Monopool. And today, I'm very excited to have one of the biggest YouTubers in our scene, and certainly, great short-form content master, Joel of Joel R Magic. Once upon a time, it was like Jake and Joel R Magic, so yep. I guess that's why your verb is wrong. But yeah, dude, we've been trying to talk for like a year now, so I'm real hyped to have you on here.
Yes, it is more difficult than you would think to connect over the internet, even though we all have these DMing apps that we can talk over.
Yeah, literally. It was funny though, because I have like a lot of things going on. You have a lot of things going on. So sometimes it'd be like, I message you and then like 6 months later you message me back and I'm like, wait, content making is hard because sometimes you're just too busy working to actually do the part of setting up to get people to come back on your show.
Well, and how often do you check a text and say, yep, going to text them back later, and then put your phone down and never think about it again?
Yeah, dude, let me tell you, because my other job is I'm a priest and I do a lot of weddings and stuff for people. And there's times when people are like, hey, I would love to talk to you about a wedding. And, they send me an email and I'm on it's a weekend or I'm doing something with my kid or whatever. I'm like, great, I read that email. I'll come back to it. And then it's like, crap.
Gone.
Yeah. Whoops. But dude, I'm really happy to have you on though. And it's really great to actually meet you. I know we met up for 12 seconds once at the Command Fest in San Francisco, or whatever was done by Laughing Dragon that one time.
Yeah, the typical convention experience, right? I'm sure that there are other creators, other fans, people watching right now that my entire interaction with them is through internet DMs and seeing them for 12 seconds at a con 3 or 4 times a year.
I mean, that is the truth, man. It's just I think, I don't even remember. It was one of who the hell was it? One of those guys introduced the two of us and was like, oh, you guys should talk to each other. And I'm like, great. We will do that.
It only took until now. Just a few years is all it took for us to make plans with each other. Super simple.
My God. And also that hall that Command Fest was in was the literal worst hall I've ever been in.
What was it called? The cow farm? The cow room?
The cow palace.
The cow palace. That's what it was. I was not giving it enough credit at all. Cow hall. It was a cow palace, baby.
Come on, man. It's only royalty lives here. There was the first arena of the San Jose Sharks when they first became an expansion team. And I went there to watch a hockey game in 1990 something. And it sucked then too.
Well, now you've played Magic there as well.
Yeah, dude, all I know is that there was a chair that I stood up in, I stood up to leave, and one of those chairs had a hook that's meant to connect to other chairs, and it bit me and left a 4-inch scar on my foot. And I'm like, what the hell, man? That's not even a good story for a scar. That just, I got up at a GP and I cut myself on a chair.
Those royal cows over at the palace have a lot of money, though, Shivam, so you got to get a lawsuit going. You're going to get paid.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyways, dude, the thing is, I enjoy, I've after we were introduced, I started watching some of your stuff and I started paying attention to who you guys are, because as content creators, it's hard to watch other people's content because you're either I'm busy making my own content, or it's just it feels weird sometimes.
For sure.
But you have a really cool way of doing it. And I really enjoy, especially the videos that you put on bite-sized chunks on Twitter, Insta, whatever. I just don't know how to do short form content, which is why I've got 3 podcasts. But So, maybe for the audience here, can you kind of explain like what is your vibe? What do you guys do, or what do you do rather?
Yeah, absolutely. The game itself is one of the most expensive hobbies that you can get into, one of the most complicated hobbies. There's so many facets of Magic. Saying I play Magic the Gathering is a very broad statement, and the game itself can just be obtuse with an insanely, straight line up style learning curve. So what I try to
Learning
do
cliff, man.
is break it down into understandable pieces through every set. I think that especially now in the Universes Beyond era, there is a ton more eyes and people coming into the game constantly because these sets act like on-ramps. And so what I try to do is break it down very understandably so that not only consistent fans can check in, not have to keep a finger on the pulse every day like you or I do, I'm sure, with the game. Check in once in a while, see where we're at, see what was the latest set, what set should I be focusing on right now, where are the good prices, etc., and approach the game from that. What I don't like to do, and kind of a idea I have to fight, is the whole idea of MTG finance. There is a side of the game where you can buy sealed product, you can speculate on singles and try and try and make money that way. That's not so much what I'm trying to do over on Joel or Magic. It's much more keep people in the loop with the cycle of Magic, because you've been around long enough, I sure have, that we know that Magic is very cyclical, even though it's always changing. And so I try to keep everybody up to date on the changes while keeping everybody in the loop about where we are in the cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really important, because I think you're absolutely right in the sense that Universe Beyond has been a phenomenal, like whatever else we may think about it, it has done wonders for bringing new people into Magic and having them stick around. Like I think following up like Final Fantasy with Edge of Eternity is one of the best sets they've put out in a long time, was genius, right? Like it's just such a good way to keep people in and keep people attached to the game. But Magic is unbelievably tricky. And there's so many cards and there's so many things to do. That's why whenever people are like, yeah, I learned by playing Commander, I'm like, how the hell did you, like, how do you process? But then I realized the Commander deck is cohesive. Like, yeah, it might be cards from up and down and all the mechanic stuff, but still it's like, play an elf, put a counter on it. It makes sense.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
And like without a lot of these on ramps, like I guess now with like Jumpstart coming with like Final Fantasy or with Avatar or whatever, it's a great way to help people ease in. But then they go to the FNM and try to play in Standard and then just get laid out by a lesson deck, and you're like, what the hell happened?
For sure. Or they come into the community and everybody's going, buy singles, only buy singles. Like, what does that even mean? Nobody, like for us, those kinds of terms are just throwaway. We're super jaded to sort of the whole system at this point. We know how to engage with sealed product. Oh, I want to buy one collector box of this set, I'm skipping this set. But with singles, we also know, I can buy them here or here or here. I know what my options are. I know how they price things there. I know what the guarantee or the safety of my cards arriving in what condition is based on. And not everybody knows that. And so they hear simple throwaway lines like, buy singles, don't buy sealed product. And they're like, I thought we bought packs. I thought this was about opening packs. What are we doing?
Right. And then you're like, what singles? What singles do I even need? What am I trying to build? Where am I going?
Which of the 30,000 plus cards am I supposed to focus on?
Yeah, right. And it's like, buying singles implies that you know what you're buying.
Correct.
And you know what you're looking for, and you know what you're like. Sure, if you're like you or me, where we're sitting making like 400 decks a day or whatever for content and things, yeah, we know that we should be looking for Myrel or we should be looking for Lana. Like there was one time when I could have probably gone to a store and just bought a Lana Warel for $0.25 and called it a day. But I was like, there's no goddamn way I don't have 300 Lana Warels in my house somewhere. So I literally went and opened like 7 packs of M12 that were just ambient sitting around. I'm like, one of these is going to have this stupid card. I got one eventually.
There you go.
But it was like, I was like, this is not the most efficient thing I could have been doing.
No, certainly not. But it is fun to do too. I don't like to spurn any part of the game. That's another part of my approach, is that I don't engage with every part of the game. I don't like every part of the game, but I'm never going to be like, that's not a good part of the game, because it's all kind of inclusive to the whole experience here. It's the gathering part of it, so to speak, to be a little cheesy with it. And so it's engaging with people where they want to be met. Hey, if I want to open some collector packs. What should I do? Should I buy a box? Should I buy some packs? How much should I pay? Where should I get them, etc.? I try to help, just set to set, guide people into those decisions in a smart way.
It is like, I'm so used to, like, I'll pick up a collector box at the beginning of a set, or I'll get one, whatever, just because I have reasons to need one for content.
Sure.
And I didn't get one for like the last set or whatever. And I went and I saw a collector booster pack was like $50. And I was like, what the hell? Like, when we're in our seats and we're just getting product all the time, or it's just part of the cost of doing business, you don't think about it.
Right.
And then you're like, if I'm a new player and I'm like, oh man, I want to get the fancy cabbage guy, and I see a $50 booster pack, or I can just go and buy Pokemon, and I'm like, 12 cards going to be worth
or
that?
an
Maybe
Xbox,
not.
Shivam. We can $600 for a collector box now is you're halfway to a gaming PC at this point, right? Like, what are we talking about,
dude? I bought because I remember I bought a Final Fantasy collector booster box at launch, and then I ended up selling it for like $1,100.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because you're like, well,
dude, like, look, I want the fancy looking foil cloud or whatever the hell it is, or I can have an entire studio for my podcast recording setup.
That's what I'm saying. And that is where we've gotten to with the decisions that we have to make with Magic the Gathering. I started in an era where you could be a completionist, where you could buy multiple boxes because there was only one box per product, basically, that you could choose from. Multiple boxes per product, open a couple, stick a couple in the closet, good to go. That's the whole rotation. Then you got Commander decks. Then you got Booster Fun era. And so now at this point, there's the meme from a few years ago of, oh, this part of the game is not for you. This part of the game is for you. I think we have never been legitimately more in a space with Magic the Gathering where you have to pick and choose not only what you're playing, how you're engaging gameplay wise, but what you're buying. And I run a collecting channel, right? Like you have to pick to skip some stuff nowadays because that's the only realistic way to engage with the game.
100%. And like, now, realistically, though, that's actually not bad. That's not the worst thing in the world for because real talk, Magic players are very undisciplined when it comes to money and finance and things like that. Having limits on what we can actually absorb is not the worst. And yeah, it feels grumpy in the moment. You're like, oh man, they're flooding us with product and FOMO and all this crap. Okay, yeah, but it also kind of feels like it did when we started playing, when we're like, I don't know every card in every set.
Right.
People are going to play things and it's good. The amusement value is going to be there. But it also is like, because we're all moving to eternal formats and stuff, then there's less pressure to need to catch up to people and stick up to people. And like right now I'm buying cards from Aether Drift or like Dragonstorm or whatever that I just really recently just figured out were existing.
Yeah.
And I missed them for like 6-8 months. Who cares? It's fine. Like Duskmourn. I didn't get any Duskmourn. And I'm like buying 1 or 2 singles. I'm like, oh, cool. That's fine.
It feels like overkill, Shivam, but there's a reason on the channel that I have, before the set comes out, a collecting video leading into what's available there. When the set comes out, stuff you should keep your eyes on. 3 months later, what the check-in is on the prices. A year later, and then 2 years later. It seems like overkill, but there are really good reasons because, like I said, Magic is very cyclical, even though it's always changing. Sets act very similarly, set to set, regardless of what they do. And
there was a time,
really good time to buy those singles.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was a time when it was like, we would know that standard is rotating. It's a great time for EDH players to come in and buy like all of these cards that you just always wanted for dirt cheap.
Right.
But rotation's all weird and messed up, and like nobody has any idea. And there's 800 sets and stuff, so it's hard to keep track of what's going on and what's coming out. And yeah, so if I was a new player, I would be unbelievably daunted by trying to figure out what the hell is actually happening. But yeah, when did you start playing?
I started playing during Invasion Block. The first booster pack I ever opened was Apocalypse. I opened up a Desolation Angel. I'll never forget it. Dude, right? One of my favorite cards of all time to this day. I opened it, I looked at it, and in that moment, I remember going, oh, this is really cool. What is this thing right here? I remember the reaction at the time of the shop, that everybody's standing around watching you open packs and you pull something really cool. That was like one of my very first experiences with Magic. And so since then, I've been hooked. I've definitely gone and come back, but I think that's a very regular, right, Magic experience for people is, oh, I wasn't playing during those 2 years, but I came back 2 years later, so I ended up skipping X block, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I've gone and come back multiple times, but ever since Aether Revolt, that was when Jake and I originally started the channel, like 2017, as a side hobby, something we did occasionally. But ever since then, I've been in the game since then. I haven't taken a break ever since.
Yeah.
Like Aether Revolt Kaladesh era.
Yeah, like I walked I started in like, the dark, and then the dark and revised, because like those sets came out roughly the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Visions came out, and I was like, man, phasing and flanking are going to ruin Magic forever. I'm done with this. And the PlayStation came out, and I'm like, I'm just going to spend my money on getting Final Fantasy 7. It's fine.
Right.
But like I kept up with the game, and it was Duels of the Planeswalkers that brought me back in like 2011 or whatever.
Yeah.
And after that, I bought my first ever box, which was Innistrad, and Innistrad, of course, the best set you could buy a box for because it's just so sick.
So fun.
And from there on, I've just been like, hooked on this train. And it's convenient that like I just like talking about Magic because now I've got a thing to do.
Yeah.
But so what is so you started the channel as a hobby? Like just like what was the impetus for wanting to start this? Was Jake local to you, or you guys like?
So at the time, I live south of Atlanta now. At the time, I lived in Los Angeles, and Jake and I both lived out there. I have been obsessed with YouTube for as long as I can remember. I always wanted a YouTube channel. I have a theater degree, so I've always had this kind of like, I want to perform and be in front of people, need attention kind of thing inside me.
Yeah.
And so it had always been in the back of my head, man, I want a YouTube channel. I just want to do this. I feel like this is something that I could potentially push into a career. It's always been a passion of an obsession ever since then. So I started it and convinced him to join me at the time because I was like, I need some backup. We, hobbied for a long time on it. I ended up moving away recently in the last like 4 to 5 years. My wife and I moved to Mass, and then we moved down to Atlanta to start our family, and we've had 2 kids. And so East Coast, West Coast with a schedule of mine that I used to be a person who sleeps until 11. I love to sleep. I'm a slumbering little bear, but now my schedule is, I'm up at 6 or 7 a.m. pretty much every day. And if I don't wake up, my kid comes in and wakes me up. And so starting that early on the East Coast against a West Coast partner, it just led to that not working anymore. But ever since we started the channel, it just gained more and more, and I stayed obsessed with it and just kind of hacking at it and trying to get better and better, learning a lot, always stayed a student of it, because there is no, there probably is now like degree programs or schools or something you can go to for creation, but at the time there was not. And so we've just kind of been making it up as I go, but
exactly.
I really enjoy it. It's an obsession. I don't feel like I work any day of my life. I am very blessed to feel like I have a job where I'm like raring to get to the computer and get work done. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. There's times when I'm staring at like 3 podcasts I have to edit where I'm like,
yeah. It's not always fun. And it's not, the fun parts aren't always there, but there's always that drive to be like, man, I want to turn on the camera and say something about what happened today. Because that's the other beautiful thing, right? Is this game an infinite well? You can talk about this game in any direction to any depth forever. They could stop making cards tomorrow, and all of us could still keep making content for 20 years. Not a problem.
Wheeler and I were talking the other day because on my other show, right, we sit and we take one set and we talk about it for like 4 hours.
Right.
And so Wheeler and I were talking, and we're like, if they stopped making Magic cards today, we would still have enough content for another 6 years of podcast.
Easily.
Of just weekly talk about every single set before
when
we run out of
what
cards.
would happen, that building collapses, the cube guys come out, everybody starts making sets, like custom sets, custom community sets. You start getting like Commander-ish style panels put together, community. The game would continue 100%. On. The game will outlive Wizards of the Coast. The game will outlive Hasbro. It's a crazy game. I love it.
Well, yeah, it's like the same way that like there's other CCGs like what the hell is that one? That like basically have given it to the fans, and the fans get to go and make sets and do custom sets and build out and do other things, and it's cool. I mean, I think especially if the bones of the game are good and it's fun to play, then you can do this forever.
100%.
How did you find Magic? When, like, or why? I guess, like, I mean, you opened an Apocalypse, but like, what about it grabbed you, and why did you come back?
It was so at the time, the start of it, my impetus with MTG was the natural extension moving from Pokemon to it. I played first edition base set Pokemon from the day that set came out. I was buying fossil packs and stuff. Like that was my first foray. I don't know. I've always had a thing for collecting. That was something I've always been interested in ever since I was very young. And so collecting Pokemon cards was sort of my entrance to it. So it was like, the pipeline was the Pokemon cartoon, the Pokemon games, the Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering. That was kind of my slip and slide into MTG.
Well, I mean, Wizards of the Coast made the first Pokemon game specifically to do that.
Exactly.
So like, okay, well, cool.
Yeah. And so when it mostly was life events that caused me to stop. It was, going from high school to college, I stopped for a few years, and then we picked it back up in college. 2012, 2013, right when Commander was starting to really catch on as sort of a grassroots thing, more popular. Internet was spreading it at that time. Prior to the very first precons, those happened I think those were 2013, something like that. And so the
first precons were 2011.
2011, there you go. So it was right around then. That is when it really caught on, and I got back into it in college. And then again, moving from college to Los Angeles after graduation, out for a couple of years. And then it's, hey, you want to play Magic this weekend? Oh yeah, I got my decks around here somewhere. Where is it? And then you're back into it, right?
Yeah. And Aether Revolt must have been fun to come back to. I mean, that's a weird... Well, like Kaladesh and Aether Revolt were actually really good sets. They were really, really fun.
Well, the masterpiece
really
pieces too. Like collecting as my first angle, that was a fantastic time to come back because they were beginning that process of experimenting with booster fun and how they wanted to execute it. And, those masterpieces all the way back from like OG Zendikar, that just kind of steamrolls and snowballs into where we are today.
Yeah, dude, the Zendikar expeditions and then the inventions that were in Kaladesh are still like the two sets that I'm trying to complete, just because I've like a long time ago I was like, I'm going to collect every Magic card, and then I'm like, that's a dumb idea.
Good luck.
And that's never like
up till like Throne of Eldraine. Maybe you could have done it up till Throne of Eldraine, but after that, they're like, oh man, good luck.
Like recently, Ethan Fleischer, the designer of our Wizards, was basically like, yeah, I am stopping my quest to collect 4 of every card there is, because I'm like, and I was like, if you can't do it and you work in the damn building, we have no chance.
Impossible. It doesn't make sense. I have seen actually a lot of full collections like that sold over the last couple of years because of people being like, I can't keep up anymore. It's impossible. Yeah. Secret layers. You can't even guarantee that you can get a secret layer, even if you want to buy it. And so how do you collect everything?
And then at that point, you're also like, I have a house for just my collection. Like, it's so many cards.
Yes.
It's so
I was
ridiculous.
just complaining about that. People being like, oh, we could buy the sealed product and leave it on the shelf and invest. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do you have warehousing? Do you have inventorying? Are you ready for fees both on, like receiving and shipping it back out? Have you done that math?
Yeah. And the humidity, you have to like the humidity control and the warping and the this and that. Like, oh my God, dude. It's just so... And when you've been playing a while and you just end up with ambient collections of stuff, it's just, there's so much crap that you're like, do I need 3 boxes of Shadows over Innistrad? Why do I have this?
My table behind me, ambient crap. Is this the average Magic player's table right here? Probably.
Bro,
so.
If I move my camera even slightly, Yeah,
exactly. I moved off this table. I moved everything to a nice triangle so it'd be out of the shot. Everything on this table is from here over.
Oh, dude, if I lower the camera behind me, I'm surrounded by cardboard boxes because my LGS is like, hey, you should do some Whatnot streams for us. Here's a whole bunch of crap that I haven't been able to move, or like that are just interesting things that I've been sitting on. You should tell them. And I'm like, I'll give it a try. But now my house is full of just like all these boxes of things. It's there is no worse feeling than like cracking open a pack and seeing like a mythic rare that you have to then sell to somebody else. And it's like, no, Badger Mole, you were mine. But anyways, that being notwithstanding, it like I real talk, I have more than enough Magic cards and I have every card I could possibly want. So it's like,
for sure,
at some point, like my son's like, wow, are these things worth money? I'm like, to other people.
Yeah.
Because if I treat Magic like it's an investment or like it's worth money or something, then my relationship with the game will change significantly and I will not have fun anymore. Like I mean, if I go over to my binders, I've got like thousands and thousands and thousands of, I've got
Oh, for
beta like
sure.
soul rings or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
Like just, but there's a point where if you allow that to take primacy over what you're enjoying out of the game, then you're just going to have a miserable time because now it's like, oh god, I have to worry about, are these cards safe? Is everything going to be? I don't
Yep.
care.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big encourager of buy things to play, get cool
Yeah.
things that you want on the table. Even when I'm talking about these expensive, crazy treatments, new APA here, we were just talking about Avatar, right? Like this is the kind of card where I'm like, that's going to be a permanent on the battlefield. It's always going to be sitting there. This is the kind of card that I would encourage people. Hey, yeah, trade up to this. Go work in
or like the new Myrel. Like you made a little video about the new Myrel from the encyclopedia.
Oh my god, dude, that card,
that's so beautiful.
This card is one of the most beautiful, just like cards of all time. Period. I got a non-foil in my kit. I'm very sad, but I'm gonna go find one on the internet.
I'm also sad. I want a foil of that so bad. That and the Lana War out of the encyclopedia are like the most gorgeous cards.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, it's weird. I say all this, but like real talk, my engagement with the game is mainly as a collector. I love collecting cards. I love opening cards. I love having cards, but I'm also not a seller. Right. Like, so there's a difference. I'm like, I don't care how I get it. I think it's more fun if I trade up for it or if I go to get it at like people are like, oh, you can just go to Card Kingdom or Monopool or whatever and just buy the card. I'm like, I could, but that's cheating. That's not fun. The fun is in like going to like, a show or meeting somebody or trading up or selling it. Like that's what the enjoyment of that is for me.
Yeah.
But like, I don't sell cards particular. I mean, I do periodically, but it's like, I don't think about the finance until I'm like at the moment.
Yeah.
Because if I do, then but then it also leads to sometimes stupid things like I'll be cracking a pack and just like, oh, whatever. And someone's like, dude, that card's worth $12. I'm like, which one? The water bending sack that I just threw away? And it's like, it's the most expensive common. I'm like, how the hell am I going to know that? I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another piece that I try and dig through and help people find. Is those
I think that's why I appreciate
uncommons and stuff. Stock up, right? Like what a card. Uncommon may be in the conversation for card of the year is kind of crazy.
That's so weird because stock up is just, it like does not look like it should be an insane card, but it's literally.
I'm prepping my cards of the year, sets of the year videos right now, and I've been asking around, getting people's opinions and comments. And dude, right now the argument is VV or stock up. What is the card of the year? Are we between VV that dominated everything or a card that has just appeared in pretty much every blue deck that can accept it?
Yeah, I would have a hard time saying anything but VV just because of how absolutely absurd. Like I put VV in my random in one of my EDH decks in my Nira deck, and my son went out and played it, and it was like one of his first games of EDH ever with people who are not in our family, and he sat there and did unbelievably stupid things with VV, and I was like, oh, this was before like everybody knew this was like the most broken thing in the universe.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this card is not okay.
Oh yeah, no, and it proved it.
No, it certainly did. But then it's like you look at Worlds and it's like, oh, we went from VV to Grand.
There's a lot to be said about the state of Standard right now and the state of that aspect of the game, what the Universes Beyond Influx is doing to the competitive formats. I think that is getting a lot of attention right now, rightfully.
I have this category I like to call the Orcish Bowmasters of the set, which is like what innocuous random card is going to be the most broken thing you've ever seen. And it's like VV and then friggin' Grand. And just like, there's always like something, like it's never a main character. It's always some random side thing that just ends up being turbo busted.
Oh yeah.
But the real thing that got me was like, there's a world where Wizards Future League is sitting there going, you know what? Having VV and Grand and all these lessons and everything in the same deck is okay.
Right. Well, they were having fun. I mean, it seems like a fun deck to play. And it could be as long as you can give like meta competitiveness to it and it doesn't dominate the entire.
Yeah, if you give someone something they can do against it.
Right.
I guess you could play like Scavenging Ooze or whatever, but like it reminds me of during Eldraine time when we had this possible situation of like, hey, Oko and Uro and like Once Upon a Time and like the literal most broken Simic setup of all time of just like all these cards in a deck together, 2 sets apart. And I'm like, guys, this is not the way.
It's very similar to right now, right? We had Monstrous Rage, we had VV, and then Grand that all, I mean, and all the lessons, all the new lessons that are in standard decks now, that potentially was supposed to be its own whole deck.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the deck they wanted against that is my question.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm like, what the hell do you think you can even play?
Yeah, what if we not figure it out, Wizards? There must be a deck that you thought was going to compete here.
Yeah, right? Like, is it just like, oh, we got to play turbo graveyard removal all day long and just like exile everything?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But like, so when you play, what do you like to play? Like, what
I'm a commander.
I'm
a commander player through and through. I'll play Brawl to some extent on Arena, though that format itself has the alchemy cards in it, and I'm kind of a fan, kind of not a fan. I really would just prefer sort of a dual commander experience replicated on Arena, where the metas are similar or if not the same, and having the alchemy cards on there. I'm like, it's a digital platform, and so I understand. Let's design digital only cards that couldn't exist physically, right? That makes sense.
But then they make things like the stupid Clockmaker,
right? And then then you have busted designs because some of the stuff just can't compete with paper, and it's a whole different thing. I think alchemy is one of the stranger things that is affecting the game right now. And
there are definitely alchemy cards that are very cool and very interesting and fun and balanced. And then there are alchemy cards that look like you gave an 8-year-old the right to make a card. And they're like, what if it's a 30-30 that comes out every turn and turns every other card into a 30-30? I'm like, no, what? No, stop, Wizard.
Right.
And what if it's got perpetual so you can't do anything about it ever? It's like,
so I haven't been keeping up with Brawl, to say the least. I fell off right after the Final Fantasy set. I fell off Arena for a little while. But Commander, that's really the answer. That's what I play the most. That's what I'm playing weekly.
Basically, because it's like, I mean, it's weird to say that's the only thing anybody plays anymore, but that's the only thing anybody plays anymore. Like, drafts don't fire at stores anymore. That just makes me very sad.
Yeah.
Like, I like drafting in paper. It's super fun and just exercises a part of your brain that Arena Draft doesn't quite get to. But I just hope they bring back Cube, though, because Arena Cube with the Arena Vintage Cube was unbelievably good.
Yeah, that really got some buzz. I saw a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah, it turns out being able to draft like a Black Lotus feels good every time.
Yeah, powerful decks are fun to play. Crazy.
Yeah, so with the fact that like there's all this new UB stuff, and there's obviously in the last 3 or 4 years there's been a huge influx of new content creators and stuff. Where do you see yourself going? Like, what do you think content looks like in the next few years?
Right now, I'm trying to really branch out. I think that because of the quantity of creators in particular, like you're saying, the days of, just making deck techs or just making more of the simpler stuff, more of this more straightforward things that you would immediately come to as ideas in the space, that stuff is just insanely saturated right now. And so I think that we are going to see waves of these newer creators kind of overtake us, which is the natural way of things and how it should be. Coming through with the new ideas. I still consider myself very much an old head when we're referring to the Magic community at large. I'm, nowhere near the level of professor or anything, but it's that same kind of group, right? I feel like I'm on a much smaller scale, make similar stuff to him. Very just reaction, very guiding, very here's the nature of the game and helping you navigate a complicated, expensive thing. But over the last couple of years, we've seen the rise of people like Salubrious Snail and Trinket Mage making more video essay stuff. And that wasn't really something that you would have seen like 4 or 5 years ago in the space
we had
at large.
That was like about it.
Exactly. It was
like
just heuristic studies. Right. But that over the last couple of years, Spice really got a huge wave of popularity in like 3 or 4 years ago and has been riding that. You've seen way more video essay people coming on. I think you're going to start seeing more YouTube-y style stuff come to the space because there are so many eyes coming to it. And that means that money's following it and money makes more productions and better productions. That's just kind of how it works. And so where the money's following the eyes, you're starting to now see big groups that were doing something completely different, like the D&D groups.
Right.
What is they have their own streaming service, and they have a lot of comedy
like
sketch
Iffy
stuff.
and
Yes, what is the name of that group? I can't remember what it's called right now.
God, dude, Good Time Society.
Yeah,
like
that. Yeah. I can't. No. Whatever that is. Those groups of people are coming into Dropout. Yes.
Dropout.
Groups like that are now starting to see the opportunity that is presented by Magic because it's gotten much more popular. It's more of a casual thing. It's almost followed the board game trend where board games have risen in popularity. Commander is kind of like a next step in that for me to recommend to people. And
Commander basically board game night.
Exactly. Right. Modular. That is what it has become. And so a customizable board game night, right? Like I can play my favorite IP against your favorite IP. And so that just seems really cool to me. And so
I'm hyped for Turtles, not going to lie.
Right. It's going to be sweet. And so I think that is what's going to happen next is you're going to see more grander scale things. You've got YouTubers like Meaty Magic, even not for everybody. He's this very specific type of YouTuber, but the production quality, the value level of like just effort that he's putting into his stuff over there, you're seeing people pop off on more of the reaction style content, like Ben Bateman. Him over the last year, his rise has been insane
Bateman
to watch.
Changed entirely,
bro.
Right, like he pivoted from Master of Modern and stuff into this full on, just like
full influencer reactionary
skyrocket.
Right, but it's worked, and he has. I've noticed more and more. Go scroll the hashtag Magic on Instagram. People following the lead, seeing formats that work, seeing the leaders in the space create these formats that people are responding to, and people start going, oh, got it, we can do that in this space too.
Yeah, like I've definitely been looking at that, like, because I want to branch out from just doing podcasts, because I love doing podcasts. I think this is one of my favorite things to do, but there's so much opportunity out there.
There is.
It's a little daunting when you sit there and see like Hollywood stars starting to show up in Magic stuff, but I'm like, there's room for lots of interesting things, and 100%. I think it's so sick that the audience has finally caught up to us, in the sense of like before, for like decades, it was we're here because I want strategies, I want to hear from a pro, I want to learn how to draft this set, I want to learn how to build the new modern deck or whatever. And now it's like talking about everything but how to draft the set and how to build a new modern deck. It's more
entertainment, whatever, right? It's more storytelling, Shivam. It's more personal. And with the advent of AI, for better or worse, wherever you fall on this subject, and it's a wide subject, there's a lot of angles to talk at it from. But with the advent of AI, I think we as humans are going to want more personal reality-based connection over the next few years, and even more going forward. And so I think that's why you see a lot more people doing this. Hey, what's up? This is what I think about the Magic stuff today. This Magic thing is crazy. Today I went to the LGS and this happened. That's the kind of content that people want to see more, is Magic stories, is personal connections and personal reactions. And
that's
reality.
Why I do the show, man.
Right, exactly.
The show works because of the fact that it's humanizing Magic, right? Like,
exactly.
There's just a joy in connecting with people over this game, and about learning about each other, and about like it helps build connection, it helps build understanding, and it's also not abjectly commercial.
Right.
It's not just like, like it doesn't feel cynical, right? Because there's a cynicism, like some people's content you could definitely feel a cynicism to. They're either burnt out or they're definitely doing this like, oh, I'm just jumping on this trend because this is apparently what the new hotness. But then there's like there's a lot of hope. Like when I see people who are like, yeah, man, I'm going to start a new gameplay channel, I'm like, I don't think you should do that. I think you should find some better way to express what you want to express.
Well, here's the question. What's going to be different? What are you going to do differently? What have you got differently to say? How are you going to approach it differently? Because speaking as someone who was part of starting a gameplay channel this year, that was the primary conversation. Why is anybody going to watch us over X? Why is anybody going to watch us over Y? What is already offered out there, and what can we offer that's a little different? That's the only way to approach it, because you're not, it's the blue ocean theory. You got to find blue ocean. And that's what I like so much about Professor. Professor seems to constantly be iterating, making new series, trying new things. He knows what works. He's hitting the things that still work. Obviously, that's what you have to do as a good content creator, is find the formats and pieces and angles that work and hit those repeatedly. Evolving. But exactly, he's constantly evolving. And so to wrap back to your question, I think I'm just trying to follow his lead in a lot of respects where that is concerned, is hit what works, make sure I'm delivering what my audience expects and wants from me, the way I look at things and my perspective and how I research these things to tell them, and try to be evolving, try to branch out. It's kind of interesting because then you get into the physical nature of social media and how platforms like my Twitter account for Magic the Gathering, X, whatever you want to call it, that account, if I tweet about Magic the Gathering, great, thumbs up, it loves it, and it's going to show it to people. If I say, man, that baseball game last night was wild, it's going to show it to 15 people because that's just how the algos have been. And that's just an example, a microcosm of every platform now in the world. If I go on my YouTube channel, I'm like, look at this cool thing that's happening in the Pokemon space. Nobody's going to watch that. They want to see me talk about Magic the Gathering, and they want to see me talk about specific pieces of Magic the Gathering. And so even more so now, I'm looking at things like different accounts, different channels, different things for different goals, and really staying specific with your different accounts, with your different brands, however you want to arrange that.
So much work, man.
It's a lot of work.
So
it's
hard.
A ton of work. But that's also, I'm steps down the road, and I'm trying to evolve something that's established at this point. And so that's why I'm answering from that angle. There's my advice to anybody who just wanted to get started is, dude, do this. Turn the phone on, face it at your face, say, this is what I think about the thing that Wizards announced today, and post it. And do that every day for 45 days. And then go back and see what worked. That would be my how to start MTG content.
Like, I feel like I should just start doing that on Instagram or whatever. Just like someone's like, you need to start taking clips out of your podcast and put them. I'm like, that is an unbelievable time sink. Whereas, like, it's so much easier if I just turn on my phone and say, like, hey guys, Magic did a thing today. Let me talk about it for 10 seconds. Cool, bye.
Also that. I adjust my production methods too, Shivam. What I'll do, there was a year,
do you do your own editing, or do you have like people? Or?
Both. I have an editor, Madanon. You might know him, Dan. I've got an editor, and I also do, I would say like half and half right now. I do a little bit more of the editing, but it's half and half for sure. Closer to half and half than ever. So there was a couple years ago where I challenged myself to make one piece of short form every single day. And that year I did it, and I learned a ton about hooks and average view duration, talking,
what would you say your
summary
is? What's your takeaway from that? Because now I just want to know for my own personal gain.
Yeah, it's 3 check-ins with the audience. This is big curtain, pulling the curtain back. So there's going to be some in your audience that care about this and some people that don't. But
the show is for me, man.
There you go. From a social media creation standpoint, there is an immediate check for people psychologically when they're scrolling through anything, flipping through anything. Your brain can answer in a second or two when you see a new video, is this for me? And that 1 second, thinking in that way will help you with your hooks on any social media piece. If you think of how can I communicate that this video is for the person that sees it within a second, that's the first kind of like thought process when I'm writing. And that is another thing too. That year I mostly wrote all of my scripts. I'm to a point now where I can improvise a little bit, or I'll outline and work off of that. But you're answering immediately, how does this apply to me? Secondly, you're going within the first 10 seconds, you're like, what is the value of this? How can this actually apply to me? What am I going to get from this? And then there's another check-in of does this apply to me again? And that's when you get the follow, the comment, that's when you get the engagement. And so it really is about that first 10 seconds. It's about working on your hooks and about working on the value that you're providing to the audience. That's how my focus has kind of been. But I do think, back to our point about there's more of a personal content, storytelling content on the rise, I think, over the next couple of years, but especially pushed by AI and how fake everything's about to start feeling. I think that now it's going to be less driven by how much value am I providing second to second, and just, am I being real? Do I come across as a real person who's being honest and sincere in this video? And you can tell when you're talking to people, everybody's got a radar, be it good or bad, for people being sincere or insincere. And so I think that is really going to be the trick, is be yourself moving forward. And it's not as easy as it sounds. Look, I'm so obsessed with content creation, Shivam. I could start seriously rambling about this all day. But that's what I'll say is like concentrate on your hooking and try to make it apply to the person as soon as possible.
The thing is, like, even that little smidge right there is so like insightful and interesting to me because like I come from essay writing and from journalism and then from doing podcasts. So I'm like all about the long burn and the long form content. But like the idea of like I need to do all of this stuff within the first 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
That's like 3 sentences worth of just like boom, boom, boom is like, what is going on here? And being able to just like, because like I worked in marketing in my real life before it for like, .coms and for big companies like that. And I learned a lot about like where do people click? Where do people look? Where do people engage? How do you get them to engage? And it's it's wild to try to condense that into like TikTok or into even before that. What the hell was the thing on Twitter that was like the 15-second videos that used to come up
Vine.
there? Yeah, Vine. It's like or even just trying to like get that notion of like how do I grab you and keep you and do all that into just like that much time
Oh yeah.
is nutter butters. And it requires like there's you can see people like me who are like old and trying to translate this into being able to do it versus kids who are just natively inherent in this world.
Right.
And I don't know, it's fascinating to me. It's
Well,
real tricky though.
it's the beauty of social media too, is like you can study and you can learn all these techniques and be as specific and get as granular as I'm talking, and you can fail. Or you can turn it on and be like, blah, 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 and you can get 1 million followers overnight. That's the beauty of social media at this point. And so you can accidentally do it. You can, try and build it in a lab like I'm talking about. There really is, any approach is going to work. But I do think there's just a ton of opportunity. That's my main recommendation to people nowadays is, oh, you should start making content. And they're like, what about? I'm like, I don't know, whatever you talk about.
Right,
whatever you think about.
It's like, that's the thing. It's just whenever people come to me, it's like, man, how do I do this? I'm like, literally start.
Yeah, just do
Once
it.
you start, like all the technology and all the hoops and stuff, that'll settle itself later. But if you have a voice, like whenever people are like, I'm going to start a podcast, I'm like, okay, before you release the first episode, make sure you've recorded 7. Because 7 is the magic number where you're going to keep going or you're going to just bounce out.
Right.
And if you don't have 8 episodes worth of content, then don't start a podcast. Right. Like if you don't have an hour to talk, like, it's not even an hour. Just like you've got to make sure that whatever you're super hype about, you are willing to stay hype about.
Oh, yeah.
Or not even like, not like you don't need to love everything, but you need to love it enough to want to share your thoughts regularly. And you've got to find a way to not burn out and not like get to the point where like, yep, here it is doing another draft of this thing. I'm like, dude, nobody wants to see a burnt out shell of a person just going through the motions. Like if you're not engaged, either positive, negative, or whatever, but if you're not like here, then maybe this is not the industry for you.
Yeah. What it sounds like to me that you're getting at is a reason that I see people fail at this constantly. And that is they get caught up in results-based thinking instead of process-based thinking. And if you
that's a magic player's fallacy right there, man.
Oh, dude, right, exactly. Well, I can't tell you how much the same applies to Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever it is, whatever platform you want to Instagram, whatever you want to pop off on. You have to, it's the long game and there is no destination. You are constantly working. You're constantly trying to make, you're constantly going to need to be evolving. You don't want to get stuck. Like it is so about the journey. And that's why I'm so confident and happy to say that I'm obsessed with it and I love my job because I'm constantly in this like, they didn't like that. I'll try better on the next one. We're going to change this up. I want to try this. I'm just constantly brainstorming and trying new things, new stuff.
100%. Like, I mean, I just finished I just started my 6th year of this show.
Nice.
And then I've been doing I did 4 years of a different podcast before that. And just like a decade of just talking about this stuff and doing this is nuts to think about. But it's like, if I didn't love this, I would just go back to my Silicon Valley job instead of doing like this all the time. But man, it is fun. Like I love content creation. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah. And it really is a blast.
Getting paid periodically is nice, but like, it's so cool that we live in a world where this field exists for people who want to just really just explore what, I don't know. I can't help but just enjoy watching people turn on a camera and just start talking. It's like, yeah, man, this is what the internet's for.
I love it. I love I recommend it all the time. Like I said, it really is the internet that has allowed this. Obviously, it's because everybody has been allowed to just niche down as much as they want with their interests. And there's enough people on the internet that are niched down into these interests that business, again, money follows eyes. That's just kind of how the way of the world works. And so when the eyes are on a niche and a specific business wants to serve that niche, who are they going to advertise through? Random whatever Google ads, or are they going to go find a Magic the Gathering channel that's talking directly to their audience and say, hey, even though you've got 10,000 subscribers, whatever, followers, 15,000, 8,000, whatever, we're going to pay you like
people who are more likely to actually buy your thing.
That's exactly right. We're going to pay you like we'd pay these 500,000 or million sub guys because you're talking directly to the eyes that we want to talk to.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the business side of it.
There's something to be said about like oversaturation, but at the same time, like whatever, dude, you guys will figure out if this is for you. And if it is, you'll keep going and it'll be awesome. And I'd love to have more people in this fraternity. And if not, then hey, thanks for trying. And maybe whatever you jump into next will work better for you.
Yep.
I don't know.
I've seen a lot of like camaraderie over the last couple of years, kind of going back to the evolution of Magic content conversation. I've seen more groups of people helping each other out. I feel like in the past, it's been pretty siloed off. Everybody's sort of doing their own thing. Some people will come together and collab. Command Zone was a big driver of that. And then Professor starting his show, his gameplay series was a big driver of that, starting the more collab world. But I mean, think back to even like when Wedge was around, right? Like it was so siloed off. There was not much collaboration. And now you're seeing, especially with the rise of like Instagram and TikTok getting a lot more popularity, there are, I call them teams. There are entire teams of MTG content creators over there and it's working. They're really supporting each other, helping each other out, doing the whole, support structure thing underneath. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. That's why I'm just trying not to get left behind, man. I'm just trying to make sure, like, that's the thing is I need to start engaging with the platform because that's where the people who have interesting conversations are. And I want to bring them onto the show. And I can't do that if I don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's right. Dude. And that's been my problem. You were talking about don't watch a lot of other content. There's just no time. And so that means that I don't get to keep up or can't keep up with who is who and who is where and who's making what anymore. And so, I try my best.
It's hard, but you know what? Like, that's half the fun is like, I love like just meeting people. I'm like, I've never seen anything you do, but talk to me. And then we talk and it's like, okay, well, you're awesome. And I'm glad to at least introduce you to a new group of people. But man, this has been a great chat. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, of course, Shivam. I had a blast, man. I love talking to you. I would love to come back whenever you need me. Absolutely.
And we should at least try to meet up at like one of the Magic Cons or whatever coming up if you go to Shoebox or Vegas or whatever.
Vegas for sure.
We'll sit and hang out and actually have a real conversation. It'll be fun.
Let's do it. Let's get a game in.
Yeah, that's the mythology of Magic content creators. Yeah, let's get a game in.
Sure, maybe. We'll see.
Sure, of course. We'll love to get a game in. But if folks wanted to find you, where would they go?
Just type in Joel R. Magic on YouTube and you will see my face probably doing a traditional YouTuber pog. Just any of those videos will work.
Awesome, man. And as always, my friends, you can find me on Blue Sky at Shivam Bhatt. You can find me on YouTube, you can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold or at YouTube every Tuesday. Thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on Shivam Wheeler Love Magic or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.